Okay, so let us just take a moment to look at this review. Now, this is on Google Reviews. Not so much a review of the show's content, but a review of its production. A toxic workplace environment at the studio in Toronto, workplace bullying, low morale, fatigued and overworked employees, and ultimately young female employees preyed upon by elderly colleagues. One particular elderly employee, who was 61 at the time, managed to identify the most emotionally vulnerable young female on the set and relentlessly advanced upon her with grooming and manipulatory tactics over the course of several weeks, taking advantage of her low morale, low self-esteem, and need for some form of validation within an environment rife with bullying. Ultimately, he managed to get her into his bed, convinced her to leave her long-term age-mate boyfriend, and that what they had was quote-unquote special, took photographs of himself having sex with her before beginning to regularly engage in sexual intercourse with her in and around the studio set. Consequently, both employees were actually fired a month later due to apparent unrelated breaches of protocol, but this was likely just a cover story. I have stayed silent on the matter for over 2 years, and that is probably wrong of me. This kind of thing should never have been allowed to happen in a highly professional environment. Other colleagues were aware that it was happening. This is utterly disgusting. Okay, wow, this is unbelievable. Essentially, these two employees. So you have an exceptionally young woman in her 20s and a senior colleague, an elderly man in his 60s. They were both fired simultaneously together for the same reason, but the reason being was apparently completely unrelated to the fact that he had groomed her, and then they had begun to engage in sexual activity actually within this workplace environment on the studio set for the Umbrella Academy. This just reeks of a cover-up. It just seems like the studio found a reasonable subterfuge for firing them both without exposing the fact that basically a young woman had been groomed within their workplace environment under their watch, and nobody did anything about this. This was allowed to happen. And this is all happening within an industry that has supposedly taken measures in the safeguarding of young female employees within the past decade. Where is this young female now? If she is no longer with this predator, and I would like to believe that she isn't, I don't believe anybody would be as dense to stay with somebody as dangerous as this for 3 years, then this man could potentially still be working within the film industry because they covered it up. So essentially, this man could potentially be free to exploit and prey upon other vulnerable young female employees, colleagues that he works with at various other studios. Is this man still working within the film industry? This is not right. This is so bad. This is so unethical, and it needs to be exposed. This actually happened. There is so much evidence as to what has occurred here. So I really hope that this story is going to gain some traction, because this man should not be working within the film industry. He's clearly got to a stage in his life where he knows that his career is realistically just about to end, and he can basically cash his pension, so he's going around targeting young females whose career within this industry had just started months prior to this. He's actively jeopardizing the careers of these young women. Why? Because he doesn't give a fuck. Because, as I explain in all of my videos, from the inception of these relationships, these men are thinking about one thing and one thing only, and that is themselves, not the young females that they are getting involved with. Thank you.